keep in mind there. So one of the things that I always like to ask myself is, what would I do if money were no object? So that's one of the questions I'll ask lots of my friends, family, coworkers is, well, what would you do if money were no object? And I really had to think about this question myself. At first, I know nothing, just I don't want to do anything. I'm so busy, so stressed at work. So maybe that's your goal, is to just, I want to relax. That's it. Do nothing, which is fine. Now, others might say, well, spend time with the ones you love. So maybe you want to travel the world. So travel, obviously, I thought at some point, yes, I want to travel a bunch, but I also want to relax as well. So maybe there's hobbies you enjoy, like craft beer. Maybe I can brew my own beer. And definitely volunteer to help others. So you have that option. Once you get to that point, once you've built enough wealth, is you can also share it with others. So that's something to think about as you're building your wealth. So whatever you want. So to get started, to get you in the mindset of thinking like a millionaire. So I have this $1 million challenge. So my challenge to you is save and invest $20,000 as soon as possible. All right, so I'll tell you how we're going to do that. Low cost index fund, something similar. So this accounts to $6 a day if you do this over 10 years. So that's almost $22,000. And I want you to do that investment, then stop and just let it grow to 1 million. So if you actually wait 46 years, on average, looking at how let's say you invested in stocks, let's say, obviously right now it's on sale. So best time to invest is today. You put that money in, allow that to grow. It's going to compound. It's going to grow. And you can actually see the curve here. So your initial balance of 20,000, you don't put anything in, and this is what happens. So it starts out slow. So you think, oh, well, am I really making that much progress? Okay, it's been 10 years now. Okay, it's getting a little higher. Another 10 years. Okay, now it keeps growing on itself. It keeps growing and growing and growing. So your time in the market, that's the huge thing. When you have that time to spend, so definitely if you're young, for sure, do it today. Do it as soon as you can. And even if you think, well, I've got this far, I'm in my 50s or 60s now, it's too late, right? No, it's not too late. Definitely you want to master your money as soon as possible. So, and depending on that growth, we say, okay, well, maybe the growth, it averaged 8 to 12%. Maybe it's a little bit less with inflation. Okay, maybe we need to save a little bit more. But again, we're seeing that growth, that curve, that power of compounding. So the money doubles, then it doubles again. So definitely something that I challenge all of you to do. Start today, save $1 today, save $1 tomorrow. Keep letting that accumulate so you can invest and then let that money grow. So we'll talk about more into the investing. And obviously one thing that's important here is if you have debt, especially high interest, you want to make sure you tackle that, make sure that's taken care of, and then you get to this point where you're able to invest and allow that to grow. All right, another way to look at it is comparing it. Well, what happens if I invest now versus later on? So if I invest $1,000 a month for 10 years, so a total of $120,000, I invested now, or I could wait 10 years and then start investing that same amount for 10 years, or I can wait 20 years. So we have that growth over 40 years. So you can actually see this. So you can see that growth. So if you have that extra time, Michael puts his money in and then he stops, but that money keeps growing over time. Whereas Jennifer waited, she finally said, okay, now I need to start investing. And then she stops and then her money grows, but not as much. Actually, Michael doubles what over 1.5 million versus 750,000. And then Sam took even longer, waited 20 years, then started investing. Now it's starting to grow a little, but it's even half of that. So definitely you can see that growth. So Michael actually saw 12 times with his balance there, Jennifer 6 times, and then Sam 3 times. So let's talk about the FIRE movement. So financial independence, retire early is the acronym for that. So there's really around the 2008 financial meltdown, a lot of people kind of had enough with just, what are we doing here? Like, we're spending all this money, we're having to work till we're over 65 to really enjoy any benefit. There's got to be a better way. So we want to enjoy the life that we have, make it so that our work is optional. So looking at the amount of time that we have in this world and making the best use of it. Now, the way they're able to do that is to get a high savings rate. So you might hear this and think, wow, 50% of my money, how is that possible? That is just ridiculous. How would I ever do that? But it can be done. So it's definitely something, especially for me as an optimizer, I look for different bills, ways to save, and there's so many ways to save money nowadays. So I'll mention a lot of those, but that's something, definitely a goal for, the average is less than 5%. So being able to add that much, even if you're someone that doesn't make 6 figures, you don't have to. If you're saving half in 10, 20 years, that money is just going to keep growing to the point where you don't have to worry about money anymore. So obviously low expenses is the key. And that money grows by itself by the power of compounding. You saw that chart earlier. All right, so great book on that, Money for Life, Your Money or Your Life, excuse me. So you get to the point where you have at least 25 years of expenses. If you withdraw 4% each year, you're pretty much guaranteed that you will have that money for the rest of your life. So it's a calculation. Obviously, for some, it's more. Once you get to $1 million, if your expenses are low enough, let's say $25,000 a year, you can basically live off of that. You don't have to work. Work can be optional. So definitely something that, as soon as I heard that, wait, I have extra time to do whatever I want, I'm in. So definitely there's a lot of information on the FIRE movement and I'll share some resources at the end on that.